Thursday edition of Take 5, where we're in a couple of weeks of what I'm calling Christianity highlights. And like a tour guide, I'm showing you some of the really beautiful traditions of the Christian faith that for 2,000 years they have made Christianity the most splendid of all faiths of the world. Lofty ideas. There's one word that goes with each that I hope you're not only understanding but really appreciating, if you are a Christ follower, all that Christ has done for you. Highlights. It's like if I took you to Italy and I would show you some of the highlights. Some of them would be a bit more personal. I took you to Rome and then I took you to Milan, I think Florence yesterday. This time I would take you to a place on the East Coast, near a city called Ancona, which is where my father was born. But there are vineyards there on the East Coast there. They're called the Sardarelli Vineyards. My cousins own them. And it'd be a little bit more personal, but I'd like you to see them. They're actually really cool. And they make Sardarelli wine and a bunch of other things like that. Today's highlight, Christianity highlight, is similar. It's in some ways it's a very personal one because there are a couple of areas in my life that I can relate to that. And here's the one word. The one word is the word reconciliation. And when you hear the word reconciliation, what do you think of? Immediately you sort of feel like there's a relational problem, right? If their reconciliation is needed. And again, I said it was personal. I think about it. When I was in high school, my parents were divorced. And I remember for the longest time, I was hoping that there would be a miracle and somehow these two could get reconciled again. It never happened. But it was certainly a hope that I had in my heart that would happen. And I related, again, as a young boy, again, now I'm going to sound a little silly, around that same time, so it would be 1970, I think I was, 11 years old, the Beatles broke up. Oh, it was horrible. And so the breakup of my parents and the breakup of the Beatles, similarly, I was hoping for a reconciliation of John, Paul, George, and Ringo. All you need is love, guys. You sang about it. Just do it. And in both of those, in the Beatles as well as in my parents, a miracle was needed. It never happened. Well, in many ways, one of the biblical highlights of Christianity is the highlight of reconciliation. Again, the idea that there's a relational problem. The idea that there are two enemies, God and me, and I, in a sense, by my actions, by my stiff arm, by my idolatry and my sin, I have now become an enemy with God. And peace has to be brought to this enmity. Reconciliation has to take place between me and God. And that's the Christian highlight of today. It's the highlight of reconciliation. Because of what Christ has done, I can be reconciled to God. You can too, because of what Christ has done. Listen to 2 Corinthians chapter 5. I'm going to begin reading verse 18. 2 Corinthians 5, verse 18. And the Christian highlight today is the highlight of reconciliation. Everything is from God, who has reconciled us to himself through Christ. He has reconciled us to himself. He took the initiative and he brought reconciliation between you and him. And how did he do it? He did it through Christ. And now he even says, and has given us the ministry of reconciliation. If you've been reconciled by faith through Christ to the eternal God, you now have the ministry of reconciliation. You can go show it with your life and tell people that they can be at peace with God through Christ. That is, verse 19, in Christ, God was reconciling the world to himself. Now, what does this reconciliation look like? Not counting their trespasses against them. He wasn't counting your faults. If there's a breakup in a marriage because of infidelity or abuse, not counting not counting their trespasses against them, he has committed to the message of reconciliation to us. God has not counted our sin, our idolatry, our egocentricity against us, our stiff arm to God. He's not counted it against us. Christ died for that, and in so doing, he has brought peace between you and God. Do you know that peace? And if you know it, he's now called you to the ministry of reconciliation. That is the miracle, that man and God can actually now come together in peace, in reconciled peace through what Christ has done. Do you know it? You only can know it by faith. You can go show it now to a world that needs to see and know that they can be at peace with God. I'll see you tomorrow as we finish our week of Christianity highlights. Have a great Thursday. We'll see you.